So my name is Pratibha Priyadarshini. I'm a HR manager for Shell in Bangalore for some of the Shell businesses that regularly recruits from the IITs. And I'll let Kumar introduce himself.
I'm Kumar. I am the operations manager for a lab. So Shell has an R&D center in Bangalore. So I am the operations manager for the laboratory. And I'm an alumnus of KGP and Bombay. So PhD was in the chemistry department. So
he's very happy to be here, though he's not smiling.
Yeah, not really.
Yeah. So what we're going to talk to you about today is two things. Mainly the Shell NWO initiative, as we call this, which is about PhDs in computational sciences in Dutch universities, with a job in Shell thrown in. So it's a complete offer of a job plus a PhD. That's what we're going to be talking to you about today. PhD plus a job in that order, yes. In that order. That's what we're going to be concentrating on today. But of course, since both of us work for Shell and later Shell is going to be here for regular hiring, we can also take questions on just regular campus hiring. But this is going to be the focus of our quick session now. Yeah? So, this is Shell in India and what we do. We've got several interests in India, about 3,000 people strong across all of these businesses. Bangalore is the business that actually is interested in campus recruitment and graduate recruitment, especially from the IITs. I will just give you a quick brief about Bangalore and what Bangalore is about in the next couple of slides. But to give you a flavor, in Hazira we have a LNG regasification terminal. In Savli we have a bitumen plant. In Mumbai we have a lubes blending plant. In Uluberia again it's bitumen. In Chennai we have a business center that has a lot of captive outsourcing in the financial services. So everything is done for Shell internally, but that's one of our biggest units. And in Bangalore we have retail as well as PNT, which is Projects and Technology. Yeah? And Projects and Technology is about 700 people strong. It is a complete internal technology powerhouse, so to speak, in regular language, and is meant to be Shell's third technology hub in India. The other two being in Houston and in Rijswijk in the Netherlands. So why India? Why did Shell actually decide to come to India, and more importantly, why Projects and Technology? That's because everybody's growing east, because east is where the demand is. The markets are maturing in the west, and for Shell too, the east is a critical market and a critical focus area. Amongst the three hard truths in the oil and gas space, we also have an aging workforce as a problem. The other one being rust. But aging workforce is a problem, and so Shell and India was obviously seen as an answer. And hence, we decided to come to India, where there is a bigger access to talent, and again, institutes like the IITs are a big focus area for us to grow our own timber, apart from getting experienced hires from across other spaces. And of course, there's again a need to integrate solutions from upstream to downstream. So the one good thing about Bangalore, as is with the other technology centers, is that we have a combined presence of upstream and downstream in Bangalore. So to give you an idea of the kind of numbers that we actually hire, and this is the grid that we show, there are approximately 650,000 graduate engineers and more than 1 million. That we did more than 1 million science graduates thrown out of Indian colleges every year. And Shell targets the top 12 campuses, which includes again the IITs, and that's a base of 17,000. Now, of those, the disciplines that are important to us and the people that pass through the assessment criteria actually come up to maximum about 30 to 35 people. In 2007 and 2006, we hired far more. We used to actually take on, we actually took on about 150 people in those 2 years alone. But after that, we've kind of tapered off, and we still do about 30 to 40 every year, but mainly through assessed internships and eventual campus hiring. Yeah? Any questions this far? is Bangalore to date? Now Bangalore has in the middle box you will see the P&T office, which is the snazzy building on the right. It looks only snazzy in pictures. But that's where it is in Kundanhalli in Whitefield. And then Kudai Kumar says we have the Shell Bangalore laboratories in Bomasandra, which is the other end of town at the moment. And on the top you'll actually see that there's plans for an integrated campus and a space to come together with both these offices. Yeah? So Kumar?
A tray in a distillation column, as a chemical engineer would know around here, is the heart of anything there, the heart of separation. So how we do that, and then what is left behind in the residue is what you walk on or what you drive on, the bitumen that you mix and use it on the tar. That is also big business for us. So we do the testing on how to lay a Formula 1 track versus what to do in an airport. If an airport has to be patched up, a tarmac of an airport has to be patched up in whatever 5 minutes or 10 minutes, how do you do that so that it sets in that much time, right? And still retains the impact. They're all huge design decisions. Dimensions of complexity, right? So any boundary condition, any initial value problem you write will have to also keep changing as the segment goes on. So that is about the multi-physics part of it, many flow. And then mesoscale flow simulations and big loops. So these are all, again, multi-scale modeling that we would anyway need to do, right? Go on.
Right, sorry, I was having a side conversation.
Okay. And then, like I told you, 1 terabyte of data per well. We have a lot of old data, right? We need to use them very well. We have abandoned many wells. We have similar data coming when we go to acquire a new well, right? So this is, and if you look at it, all this is the instrumentation really now becoming very, very cheap. So we also do research on the instrumentation itself. You go on this?
Yeah. That was just to give you a quick selection of what we do in Bangalore. Apart from that, we also do a lot of corporate social responsibility work. And this was just a few samples of good work that goes on, which is still technical. And this is a school that is right next to Shell Bangalore Labs, where we've deployed some reverse osmosis units to purify water, drinking water for the school.
So this was to remove heavy metals and nitrates from groundwater because it was contaminated by a neighboring institute, university, and by a neighboring company, right? So this design was also part of our own scope, right?
So that's on CSR, and this is a quick, just an idea on the kind of fancy campuses that you have. We too have one, so that was just to lure you into saying, come join us. Yeah. Now, beyond that, this is an important one. This is the discipline mix today of the kind of people that we actually have in the Shell Bangalore offices. We have about 100, we have, like I said, 700 people, 106 of them are discipline engineering and an equal number in process engineering. So core disciplines in engineering as well as chemical engineering is a big part of what is used in engineering services and downstream. In geosciences and production engineering and petroleum engineering, we've got several upstream folks as well that do upstream work in the technologies that we spoke about. That's to give you a fair idea about the kind of people there are and the work that's done and the way it's split up. Okay, so that was about the Shell story, about who we are, where we came to be, and why computational sciences is becoming increasingly important to us. For those that were not in the room earlier, I introduced the fact that we're going to talk now about a Shell and the Dutch Science Board sponsored PhD program. And this is the other side now. So we've spoken about Shell and what's important and why Shell. Now this is the part that comes from the Dutch Science Board. And I'll say tomorrow again.
Yeah, so NWO is actually a Dutch term for, it's like a Department of Science and Technology for us, right? So this is the Netherlands Science Organization, right? So they fund all the research that goes on in the Netherlands, right? And any institute that gets a grant gets it from NWO or a sister body of NWO. So they have 7 sub-bodies. So the FOM is the Foundation of Matter, which takes care of the physics research. So any Nobel laureate who has come out of the Netherlands has done his PhD in FOM. through funds, like that. So
the numbers. Just to give you an idea of the numbers in firm, this is the official figures that we have from them. We usually have about 5,000 odd proposals that I've received and end up funding about 15.
So they, of the 700 million that NWO funds, they got 91 million last year. This year it will be more like 120 million because there's a Shell component also in this. Right? So Shell has also put in some money in this.
Okay, that's firm.
So about 400 PhDs a year. So 10% of the PhDs come from physics.
And so this is now the program. And what is this Shell NWO research collaboration? Yeah? So the most important thing here is to align the Shell and STCB interest, which you've seen in computational challenges, to align that with the need for the Dutch universities to have more research done in computational sciences and in that area, because they've now got several sectors which are now outlined as important for their own, how do I say, for their own focus. Several sectors that need this kind of research to carry on. So, do you want to say something about top sector and then the industries in top sector that are going to be talking?
Yeah, so in the US it is called Advanced Technology Programs, right? So hydrogen energy is an advanced energy program, advanced technology program in the US. So the US has about 7 of these every year. Not every year, every 5 years they have a 20-year vision and they set it up, right? Like that, Netherlands also has energy, chemistry and stuff that needs to be solved today, stuff for the greater good of the community. So it's open, so whatever work is done in energy research is an open research, right? So even if Shell contributes to this research, it will be open research. It can be used by any oil and gas company. Right?
So yeah. So if you look at the bottom 3 bars,
it's the country,
which you can't really read, or let's then focus on the middle squares. So the 3 interests are actually coming together, right? So we talked about new skills and capabilities in STCB. There is the energy research for the greater good and problems that need to be solved.
Why is it new skill? See, typically what everyone does their own modeling. When I did my PhD, I used to run a program which would take 15 days on a mainframe. I would come up with some constants. I would try to solve it. What if it gets bigger than that? Right? What if it takes you a month to solve or a year to solve? Right? Then you have to split it up into, those days we used to call it parallel programming. But the same guy does not have the skill to write the code or convert the code into a parallel programmable code, right? So this one gives us the discipline that when you start with that vision, with the end goal in mind, and you work backwards, right? So the skills are very important.
That was a requirement, and then the energy research that you heard about, and then the development of computational sciences in the Netherlands. Okay. So what does it actually mean? What it actually means is Shell is putting in 24 million euros, but the important point here of concern to us is the left box, which is the 20 million euros that Shell is investing into this program. It's a 5-year program, and the goal is to actually fund research projects for computational capabilities in Bangalore, while at the same time strengthening research infrastructure in the Netherlands. So that is simple. What we actually are trying to do is we're going to fund 60 PhDs with the 20 million euros across these 5 years, and then on successful completion of the PhD, the intent is to hire the individuals back in Shell in Bangalore. We'll talk a little more about the process and some of the subjects and what the big picture stuff is going to be. But the bottom line is, come 1 December, our intent is to give you 2 letters. If you apply and you go through the entire process, you get 2 letters. One is, of course, the letter of intent that says you're going to be hired into Shell in Bangalore in 4 years' time on successful completion of the PhD, and another letter that actually tells you what is the proposal that you're going to be working with and which professor at the Dutch university. So that's a very quick overview of what we're aiming to get at, given this big picture stuff. But we'll explain all of that in a little more in detail next. Huh? Some more stuff.
This is just a flavor because Dutch universities are not well known at all. So this is just how you rank, how they stack up internationally, right? On the basis of publications. So if you see, China is surprisingly 1, right? And the US is 2. So the Netherlands where now?
The Netherlands is
12, number 12,
yeah,
right? It's not bad for a small country with a small number of students, right? But the publication, and these are all refereed publications. This is what we call an overall impact score, right? These come out every year. So this is on how many patents and how many high-end journals cite a publication, or how many ideas are actually put to use, right? So here the Netherlands has been consistently between 1 and 2 there, right up there. Okay. India is 14, so it looks 914, but it's not so bad.
Any questions so far? Please. Good, Priyanshu.
I was wondering, do we have the choice of the PhD project we choose?
Yeah, so we'll come to that. That's a good question. We'll come to that.
Go on to this one. So there are about 10 Nobel laureates, 5 in the last 30 years or whatever.
Okay. So this is the PhD program. What it actually means, I have said time and again. And now I'm going to go into the softer elements of it. So I have mentioned about the job offer. I have mentioned that it is going to be in the Dutch universities. Thrown in alongside of it is the fact that your internships and all your practical work during the PhD program is going to be taken care of by Shell. Because the proposal is going to be one of general interest in computational sciences, the idea is that Shell will fit you back into your internships and all of those, all of the industry elements and practical applications part of it in the 5 years, either in Rijswijk, Houston, or in Bangalore. Yeah.
This is one reason why Netherlands do, because we have a lot of operational
Data.
expertise and data residing in the Netherlands. It is a Dutch company.
And the cultural fit, I think a little known fact about the European universities, and when we spoke to some professors across, was that you probably think the Netherlands people, like in France, people don't speak other than French. The Netherlands also probably has an idea that people don't speak anything other than Dutch. But Dutch is a second language. We've worked in the Dutch culture for the longest possible time. I worked for 8 years with Shell, and English is spoken across by everybody, not just in the land, but also by the people quite fluently. So all courses are actually going to be offered in English in this phase. Yeah, Yanshu, coming to your question in just a minute. So, which are the Dutch universities across which we're going to be working with is all of them. So there's Leiden, there's Utrecht, there's Delft, there's Twente, there's Eindhoven, all of them. And then there are several form institutes as well.
So if you look at it, the Dutch Science Board does not fund a project from a university. They look at a list of projects are made every month, so there's a call for proposals. All the professors from any of these institutes would give up an idea. They would write a proposal on how this would be executed in 4 years and what resources are needed and stuff like that, right? An independent reviewer reviews all these ideas. They are all shortlisted and it comes back from there. And then we have to match the skill sets. So today, nobody who knows what they would be funding next year, right?
So it's a little different from the German DET scholarships, right? Where people probably find a sponsor and then you write the proposal together and you apply for the funding. That's a more common module, as I understand, the modus operandi of the way it all works. This is going to be a little different. So the way we are trying to approach it is, of course, that maybe I'm going to the work process at this time. Yeah? So this is the way we're approaching it. Throughout October now, between the 15th and the 25th, there is going to be a call for resumes and inviting interest. Our advertisement will simply say computational. There are going to be across those universities and professors across multidisciplines that are going to offer those. There could be a chance that you may go through that pink box, and when you come to the orange box, you're not happy with all the 3 that are interested in you. At which point you still have the right of refusal. So there's nothing that's binding in this whole process. But obviously we are unable to say too much about it right now because we're waiting for which of the 15 will make it by the 31st of October. Which proposals? Sorry? We're looking at the end of this year for 15 positions. Yeah. So 15 of these hand-picked and then 60 across 5 years. Yeah?
There is an option of joining as a regular employee first and then perhaps 2 years later after working, if you feel like doing a PhD.
Our current employees ask us that. See, the problem is we also need, see, this is taxpayer money, that's taxpayer money, right? 50 or 40% of it is Dutch taxpayer money. They want to know why a Shell employee should benefit from this. Right? So there is also an option for us where we fund our own PhD. Right? It's not through this route. So that is also possible. So depending on some tenure you spend within Shell, we can fund a master's or a PhD. But that may not be in computational science.
So won't be part of this program.
So that is possible.
Yeah, so if you join as part of the graduate hiring in Shell at some point in time and 2 years down the line you decide you want to do a PhD, we do it on a very case-by-case basis right now. And if it is going to be directly relevant to Shell, continues to kind of work on a problem that's already been defined or exists, and hence Shell sees benefit in it. It's got all of those conditions that will come in for you to kind of do that PhD. Worst case, we offer sabbaticals. We say, you go ahead, do your bit, and come back, even if we don't fund it. So that's always there as a.
And NW will then fund it at that point. You are open to apply, and it's quite a common case.
But then is that binding? As in the sabbatical?
Sabbatical is also not binding. You may not want to come back at the end of those 4 years. Sabbaticals in general.
It's one way. It's all a one way. That's how we write. See, there's no point forcing someone into a relationship.
We learn those truths later in life. Yeah. No, it's completely different. It's off campus. We don't do it. We're not going to do it during the campus season. But the timing is done in such a way that you have your decisions out, so that you can then decide voluntarily whether you want to participate in campus seasons or not. Yeah. Yeah. That whole process.
Even when you apply, the resumes would still come to us. If it is part of this.
If it's part of this, yeah. www.google.com/delftnl. Go ahead. Yeah, just like you would anywhere else.
But if when you apply, it still goes to a proposal. If it is linked to a proposal funded by NW, then it will come to us. So they do a lot of research. They do almost 1,500 proposals, right? This is a very small fraction of that. But this is targeted at computational science and physics.
What if existing PhD wants to drop out and try?
Welcome.
Is it like a business somewhere or something?
No. Welcome.
But I'm not sure about carryover of credits. Because to do this, they expect a certain number of credits to be completed in certain methods.
That it will be starting afresh.
Almost. That is it.
Yeah.
So if this had been any other PhD, any other problem, there is no problem. I think credits would be granted. But in this particular case, credits may not be granted.
But it's such a case-by-case basis, so you can always write to us and have a conversation about it versus anything being binding at this stage. Yeah? Sorry, you had a question, yes? Across the country.
Across the world.
Yeah. The crux being that an Argentinian has to come back and work with me in Shell Bangalore.
I mean, that is the job offer you will get.
There was 10 minutes late into the session.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have no questions. Can you cover this before? Can you tell me how much monthly stipend you have?
We knew that question will come. The monthly stipend is going to be pretty much in the norm of what European stipends are, which is roughly about 30,000 euros every year, starting with 30 and going up to about 36 to 38 in your fourth year. And And that's the European norm, and there's going to be nothing extra added on top of that.
So you will be an NWO employee, and it will be there in the website when
you
it
apply.
will also be on our website on the 15th. When you see 15 to 25, there is a call for resumes. When you go in there and you click, you will get a very detailed note on
On
what it
the
means.
yeah.
The salary after
Yes.
So the salary after you get is not something that we are going to put up right there, but that's going to be in the norm of.
See, it has to be baseline at that time. It is very difficult to forecast a salary today, 4 years hence.
you are doing the job today.
Yeah.
So what will
He's not our candidate. He's not our candidate. His skewed thinking is somewhere else.
He
So
wants
he's
the
not going to
other
get
one.
that. No. So existing PhD offers on campus, you're all aligned with all of those, right? So pretty much in the line with existing offers. Shell, I think, comes in with about 12 lakhs for BTech students and 14 for MTech. And existing PhD candidates, I get about, I think it's 16, 12, 14, 16 or 17 is where we are today. But obviously, it's all going to be adjusted to 5 years down the line and what you worked on. And PhD students have a different career track, while BTech and MTech students spend 3 years minimum in grade. PhD students get the opportunity to progress within a year after joining. So, and that 17 lakhs within a year after joining becomes 22. So those are the kind of numbers that we're talking about today.
You don't have any more.
The money was the clincher.
Okay.
No, I'm just teasing. That is it. That's really it.
Excellent.
Yes.
I wanted to go a little bit into technicals of instrumentation work, that is instrument related research, that is, or any kind of work that is being done here in Shell Bangalore. If you could elaborate.
So we don't do all the research here because there are 3 research centers,
Yeah.
3 large research centers. We split the research. So all the chemical related work is done in Bangalore. All the design part of it is done in Bangalore. So Shell has what we call design engineering practices, voluminous books on how to design anything, right? How to design a storage tank or whatever. Right? All that is done out of Bangalore. Now the hardware of the instrumentation itself, that is done more in Reiswijk because they make the oil rigs, they make the drilling systems. So everything has to be compatible there. All the vibration ready